Hi, this is Jacqueline Pastel with my Game 390 networking final video. So the first thing that I'll go over is how I made my game data driven. So the first thing that I just noticed was all of the input and the firing missiles lane mine were happening in this place screen process input method. So in every spot where we would have just had like a raw like method call, like move, rotate and move here, I now like call an add packet method, but essentially inserts it into a queue. So what this does is I'm doing add packet for the movement rotation, and then I'm doing it for the fire, and then the lay mine. And then at the end of this player process inputs, it just creates all the packets. So I also have a command pattern for creating the packets. So all of these, I'll show the sit position packet because the fire, mine, and missile are essentially the same. So it's just like the standard command pattern. It takes in the stuff that it needs to create that packet, and then packet. My packet method has the different creation for each of the different types. So when it creates a ship packet, which is it takes in movement and rotation, or vertical input and horizontal input, so it can call the move and rotation methods. And aside from that, it just gets the type it is, the index, ID number, and the state. And then all the other ones do the same thing, except you leave horizontal and vertical input as 0, because I couldn't figure out a way to do it otherwise. And so they're pretty similar for the fire and the mine. But so at the end of all of these creation methods for the packet in this command pattern, it adds it at the end. It adds it to the output queue. And then in the output queue add, I have it assigning another type to the queue header. Then it gives it the sequence number and the in and out sequence number, and then it puts it into the output queue. So in here, this is the output queue is where it serializes all of the data. So it goes through it NQs it off, or DQs it off the output queue, and then it checks to see what it is, and then it serializes that data, so it writes all the stuff from that struct that the packets had, and then it after it writes all the members, it sends the message, it sends it over. So here, so in the game, I call process on the input queue, and then I do process or push to network on the output queue. And then the input queue is the one that has that it actually does the method call. So in here, I have a switch statement to see if it's a sit position, missile, or mine, and if it's position, it'll do move and rotate and then update. With using the members that I set when I added the packet, the horizontal, vertical input. And then Q missile will just call fire missile on the ship, and Q mine will call lane mine on the ship, like show. So that's how the data driven works. So in terms of the like lobby and sort of networking part, I have all of that in the game CS file right here. So it always starts out as the client, and then I sent maximum handshake potential and recent handshake interval to set the timeout. and then I call connect at the top of the message reading loop. So right here, where it calls connect, and then it goes through, and then when it gets a status change disconnected message, so here, if it gets a status change, and then if that status change message is disconnected, and then it goes through the shutdown process, so it shuts down the client, and then I do the initialize stuff for the server, so then it becomes the server at the end of this. Then so also how I set the IP address is through I'm asking for output from the user. So console read line will take in the input that the user types in to get the IP address. So it's hardwired like that. And then the data of it, I store that input address into this systemnet endpoint, and that's what I call the connect method on. So that's how I save that. I was stuck on this for a while because I wasn't sure how to get the timeout to working correctly and initialize the client, or make the client turn into the server, and then make sure that the next instance would stay a client, because they both trying to become the server. And I think I was just creating it on the wrong message. But anyway, so how do I tell the difference between the two machines might be kind of bad, but I just have like P server and P client, and then I only set P server when I initialize it in that like chunk of code down here. So this is the only place that I set server to something. Otherwise it's just null. So I just have checks around my code that'll say like if P server equals null, then you're the client, and if P server not equals null, then you're the server. So I just do checks like that, and then I do that in output queue too when I'm trying to figure out if I'm the client or the server. So I do that there. So then so the data that I'm moving to make the two machines work, so in the input queue I have these three different types. It's for queue ship position, missile, and mine. And then so I also kind of showed what the packet looks like, what's in the ship data struct. So I'm always sending all this stuff over because all of the kind of like fire, missile, and rotation, those both need a ship, but they don't need horizontal and vertical input, but they need that for rotation movement. So I just set those to 0 when I do a create fire packet or create mine packet. Like here, I set these to 0. But I figured it works to use the same struct because they all need to know like the ID, which I realized helped me for like shooting missiles and the missiles colliding with the ships, because it checks the ID number, so that makes the score the same on both and makes the ship disappear or die in both instances. So yeah, to move the ship, I need those vert and horizontal input, and then I need the gamer index for all of these things, as you can see. Because I have an array that holds both of the ships, and these methods all need to call that, and I literally just I have this array here, and I set it when I do load content in here. I set both of the ships, and then I also do that when the server gets initialized. So what I do here, oh, that's just it. But so down here, when I make it the server, I set the local gamer, what changes the ID. And I'm going the wrong way in my code, sorry. So here, yeah, local gamer 1, and then it knows that that's the correct ship. Alright, so like I said for the collision, I don't have specifically collision packets, but I do check the ID number, and that makes it update on both screens. So I'll just show it now. So I'll get I'll get it set up on one computer, and then I'll connect it to this one, and I'll have just my screen recorded, but it'll show. Okay. So when I start it up here, it'll prompt for an IP address, so I have to type this in. Okay, so I'll control the other ship now. On the other computer is the blue one. And then if I can control the green one now. So as you can see, the score is updating on both of them. So then there is a slight problem where it'll crash here, because when one of them tries to change scenes and goes into like the add point states, it can't find the sprite. It says it's null. And in an attempt to fix this, I tried checking if both of the player 1 or player 2 is null, like in the player process input, so then it wouldn't even add the packet in the first place. I tried putting it in the input queue, so that it checks if you're in the game state play, and then it will only execute these methods. And I tried putting it in the output queue as well, to just check if you're in the state. Yeah, game state play. And I have all these checks to check if you're in game state play every time that I do the serialize. But it just wasn't working. But that's what I tried to do to fix it. And that was the bug that I ran into and I couldn't get past. And that just happens when one of the player dies, or like the score reaches 4 when it does the scene change. But everything else that I've explained is how I got the game networked, and I got the missiles and the mines and the movement of the ships all being networked. Thank you.